It is 5:31. And we'll go ahead with roll call. Mr. Booker, I didn't see him on there. Mr. Lindmark.
Here.
Mr. Neighbors.
Here.
Ms. Gorel.
Present.
Mr. McCarthy.
Present.
And Ms. Redd. Swore I saw her on there. Maybe not. She's on there, but all right. So we do have.
Dorothy, you're muted.
Miss Redd. We'll assume she's in attendance.
She just left the meeting.
Yes.
She just left the meeting, so we'll assume she's not in the meeting. Thank
Maybe
you.
she has to get back on again.
Yeah.
She might have.
Sometimes it happens.
I'll give her a few minutes. If she has some trouble, maybe help desk can reach out to her and see if we can help get her back. So next item is approval of minutes for February 17th and March 17th, 2021. And I so move.
Second.
Second by Mr. McCarthy. Any corrections, deletions from anybody? Seeing or hearing none. We'll go ahead and the roll call. Mr. Lindmark.
Yes.
Mr. Neighbors.
Yes.
Ms. Gorel.
Yes.
Mr. McCarthy.
Yes.
Is Ms. Red back or no? No, she is not.
No, Chairman, but Aaron Booker has joined the meeting.
All right, so we'll make a note that Aaron Booker is in attendance.
Okay, Dorothy's back.
And Dorothy is back. All right, excellent. So approval of minutes, Mr. Booker.
Yes, I approve the minutes.
Thank you. Ms. Red. Still be having problems. Okay, we'll move on. Mr. Thompson, is there anyone from the public that has signed up to speak?
Hello, I'm present.
All right.
I can't
Thanks,
see
Ms.
your
Red.
pictures.
Pardon?
No one has signed up to speak, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Appreciate it. We'll
Dorothy?
forego that language.
Tell Dorothy I can't see pictures either.
All right. Well, I think Marlene is going to have a package, a little slide for us, and maybe she can email those out to Miss Red and Miss Gorel that is not able to see tonight. So we can do that. We'll just we'll email that out to the committee if she would.
That's fine. Thank you.
All right. Perfect. You're welcome. We'll move on to our first item of business, number E, which is a letter E, which is a resolution authorizing purchase of the live scan fingerprint system. Mr. Thompson, who would like to speak to this?
I'll introduce this subject matter, and then Chief Deputy Cjcc is on, and so is Gus Gentner. This is a resolution authorizing the purchase and replacement of the live scan fingerprint system. This is a replacement of an existing system in the jail, and it's used to fingerprint and live scan inmates as they're coming into the correctional system in Winnebago County. It's a budgeted item. The upfront cost is $141,640. That's the replacement cost. And then there's annual maintenance of the system of a little over $18,000 a year. This is a budgeted item. Chief Deputy Cjcc can answer any questions or explain the system a bit more, but it's a proven system that we have in the jail. It works well. It just needs to be replaced. It's outlived its usefulness. Thank you.
Thank you. Chief Cjcc, anything that you would like to add on that?
Yeah, Mr. Thompson covered most of it very well. Just to understand, the live scan system is a statewide network of systems. Every law enforcement agency in the state of Illinois uses this system to fingerprint, photograph people, and submit the information to the state police, and then that goes into the state police crime database.
Excellent. Thank you. And I would imagine that the previous system was at its end of life. Mr. Gettner, I would imagine, would agree with that, or?
Was deployed 12 years ago, Windows 7,
So it's been there since the jail was built, basically.
right after 2009.
Right after. Okay. Thank you, sir. All right. Any questions from committee members?
Well, I have a question.
Please, Mr. McCarthy.
Sure, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, when I was reading it, that does come with a 1-year on-site warranty. Is that correct?
I believe that is correct.
Okay,
Gus, if,
Accurate,
yeah,
affirmative.
good. All right, good. Because that's a nice ease for us and those, using it, that if it is something wrong, it's totally covered. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Ms. McCarthy. Any other questions from committee members?
I think Mr. Neighbors is.
I have a question. I'm sorry.
Yep. Go ahead, Ms. Red. Then we'll go to Mr. Neighbors.
Thank you. I couldn't get on there for a minute. What are we talking about here?
So we're talking about the live scan fingerprint system. Yeah, we're going to replace 5 of them with a new system that's going to be more up to date and actually more user friendly, I would imagine, than what we previously had. So it's a cost of $141,000 upfront cost. That's for the 5 systems, and annual yearly maintenance of $18,000 just over. So that would cover everything, and it is a budgeted item. It was in the 2021 CIP. So it isn't new money that we have to get from somewhere.
correct.
Excellent. Thank you. Mr. Neighbors, sorry, I can't see everyone. So if you have a question, just sound off, please.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The $18,000 that's budgeted maintenance per year, how does that compare to what we had on the old system? And is it more or less or about the same?
Excellent question. Mr. Thompson or?
I'd have to defer to Gus or Rick on
Gus.
that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Mr.
you help us out, you pay the bill.
It actually, I think last year we paid 24,000, so it's coming in a little less.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Mr. Neighbor, follow up?
No, thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir. All right. Any other questions from committee members? All right. Seeing or hearing none, I'll go ahead and call the roll. Mr. Booker?
Yes.
Ms. Gorel?
Yes.
Mr. McCarthy?
Yes.
Mr. Lindmark?
Yes.
Mr. Neighbors?
Yes.
Ms. Red?
Yes.
All right, I'm a yes, so passes unanimously. Thank you, guys. We'll go on to our next item, which is an update from Mr. Hucken. It's a Cjcc update, and we'll go ahead and we'll turn it over to Marlena. And then afterwards, we'll open it up for any questions.
Okay, just 1 second. Let me.
Mhm.
Okay. You can see my slide right, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I'll just go through some of the current things that I've been working on, and then you can ask questions if you have any. If you recall, one of the priorities was to increase the capacity of the Winnebago County criminal justice system. And through that, I'm doing fund development. I'm currently working on 3 grant applications. One is that we are going to be the fiscal agency for Project Safe Neighborhoods 2021. And that's a project with the Department of Justice and the U.S. Attorney's Office in the Northern District of Illinois. And what that means is that we manage the funding and then we have a certain percentage for doing that. And that percentage is the amount on the screen, the $43,533 over 2 years. The RIC we're working, I'm almost ready to submit an application for an expansion to include evening hours. From my understanding, they used to have evening hours, but they haven't in a long time. So this would expand and open the RIC until 8 o'clock at night instead of 5. And that'll be Monday through Thursday so then they'll be open from 8 to 8, Monday through Thursday, and then on Friday. So they'll also have offer Spanish speaking programming in the evening as well. So that we're working on that as well. And then Loyola University, we're working with them on an application for a reentry research and planning process that does involve implementation funding should we be awarded. And that reentry project is going to be with Winnebago County and the Illinois Department of Corrections and the community to work on a comprehensive approach to assisting people as they come out of the Department of Corrections, the Winnebago County Jail, and court services. So that's that one's very, very competitive. I hope we get it because we really need it in Illinois, because we're other states, their probation and parole are one unit. In Illinois, we're not. So I'm hoping that by drawing attention to that it will help make our case of why we need it. Not only that, we use evidence-based practices in Winnebago County of risk, needs, and responsivity assessments. And the Department of Corrections has also just started to do that in 2020. So it's a really good time for us to do this. So I'm hoping that that we get that. Then there's, excuse me, to advance the priorities of the Cjcc. We just finished our workshops, our 2 workshops we had been planning. We'd been working with a planning group for about 6 months. Sequential intercept mapping is a process where you identify the different intercepts in the criminal justice system to assist individuals with their behavioral health needs. And that was good timing as well because of the mental health funding that we received. And out of that planning, we didn't want to stop the momentum with the group. We had about 30 or 40 individuals on the call. So Judge Holmgren has agreed to branch off and have a justice-involved behavioral health multidisciplinary team. And that's going to be another part of the Cjcc. So we're in talks of that now. We'll probably start meeting in July. One of the other multidisciplinary teams within the Cjcc is partnerships and strategies to reentry. And this month, or in July, next quarter's speakers are going to be from NIREACH, which is, as you know, formerly Winnebago County Housing Authority. Winnebago County Housing Authority has been speaking nationally and has been used as a model because they're doing some work in reentry with the Illinois Department of Corrections, as well as with the Vera Institute of Justice. So that will be a good topic to listen to. They previously presented in June at our Cjcc meeting last week. And then in July, they'll be presenting more of a case management approach to the individuals on the call. And then last, we have Advance the Crime Commission. We, as you recall, we had wanted to develop an application process, scoring matrix, and set up a system of application and reporting. So that has been started. The applications are out. They're due back by July 8th. And the Crime Commission will be interviewing the applicants, and then they will be submitting their recommendations and scores to the board. And that should be happening in August. So that's about all I have.
Excuse me, explain with the Crime Commission. I'm so happy they're getting involved again. Explain to me what the application and reporting is for.
Well, the county, a lot of different individuals get questions from the public. Where's the money going? What are you doing with it? And they used to have a process before, and for whatever reason, it fell off. And and with taxpayer dollars, those processes should never fall off. There should always be an app, even if it's not a huge application, there should always be some kind of application and some kind of reporting so that we're able to report out to the various boards who make the decisions and to the public whose taxpayer dollars it is. So that's what that is.
About time. Thank you.
Thanks, Ms.
Dorothy
Grohl.
Red, I have a question.
Yep. Please.
I see you're saying that the application is out due July 8th. It's due July 8th. Is that back to you on July 8th?
Right. Yeah. What it was though is that there's a very small pool of money, and for the first year, what they're doing is they're just submitting it to the agencies that are currently funded, because otherwise it would have been pulling the rug out from underneath them. So there's still going to the agencies that are currently funded, which is Tommy Meeks, who works in the RIC, and Remedies, who works in the RIC, and Rosecrans, who works in the jail. So all of the agencies that are being funded or individuals being funded are working directly for county services. And they got the application. It's almost like a dry run, for them to sort of get practice doing this, and then we'll develop the reporting, and then the agencies will get used to reporting. So next year it may be different. I don't know. They'll all.
Okay, I have another question. You still don't have youth involved, the youth. Right.
I don't decide who gets funded. I can tell you that the county does fund youth. They through the Carrie Lynn Center, that's a county agency.
We need to take another look at this, because we have so many young people out there and they're getting into so much trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Who should I direct this question to? Because I was expecting some of this money to go to the younger people. And these are adults that we were talking about here at all of these agencies.
I don't make that decision.
Can anyone answer that question?
I don't know.
Who can answer that for me, please?
Well, Ms. Red, we can definitely find out exactly where our footprint is as far as youth versus folks that are coming out of the Department of Corrections. There are a lot of agencies that are working with youth other than the county right now. And a lot of our aspects and our responsibilities really lie with the folks that are coming through the criminal justice system. But we hopefully here next year will have a little extra money to where we can open this application process up to other individuals and other entities. And whether or not they work with the youth or not, that's up to what they do. But I would encourage any non-for-profit that Ms. Red, that works with youth, to encourage them to seek funding through the county, whether it's through us or the city of Rockford or the Family Peace Center or a non-for-profit.
Okay, when you say seek through the county, what department is that going to come through? Because I know Booker does a lot of work with youth.
Yeah.
And we have so many youth that are, constantly in trouble.
Sure.
Yep. And Marlena, you mentioned the Carrie Lynn Center.
Mm-hmm.
Well, exactly what do they do?
Those are the youth that have been sexually or physically abused, the most vulnerable youth in our community. They're youth that they're a very special population, and it's a very sad situation. But
I guess I need to educate myself more on that.
Yeah,
I'll have to visit them.
Yeah, go down and visit. They're on North Main Street. They would welcome you. We stopped in a couple months ago, and she was very appreciative for the visit, and she thanked the county profusely. I thought that it might be a good idea if she came and gave a presentation, but that would probably, that's something that we could talk about If you wanted her to come to council or this commission or full county board, it probably would be a good idea for others to be aware of the services they do. It's tragic. It really is tragic, but that is a county supported agency.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Any follow-ups, Mr. Red?
I have more, but I think I better do a little better look at myself before and ask too many questions here.
No problem. Mr. Neighbors, did you have a question? Yep, please.
Yes. And I just want to piggyback on the thoughts of Mrs. Red, just because I think the idea of what we want to get at is the crime prevention aspect of these funds, and we're supposed to be applying some of them to crime prevention. But when we say we apply it to crime prevention, is already the funds are allocated to programs of people that already committed the crimes instead of to the people that haven't committed crimes yet. And so if we rely on the sheriff department and the state's attorney's office, their job is to work with people after they've committed a crime already. It's either to prosecute them, arrest them, or tell them what they can't do, or cannot do after they've already committed a crime. But I feel in order to prevent crime in the future, we need to work with people, the young people who haven't committed crimes yet, so that we can decrease our crime in the area. And so I think that's just something that we need to change our focus on, instead of working with people that's already we still need to work with them, but we need to apply our funds to people who haven't committed crimes yet and can potentially do so.
Well said. Marlena, did you want to comment on that? Just exactly what we're doing with pre-crime, or
What's that?
exactly what we're doing for crime prevention, just in the
Well,
county that you know of?
Well, I also agree that, we need to be addressing both ends, and crime prevention and preventing it from happening again on the other end when somebody's re-entering or somebody's, trying to turn their life around after committing the crime, because if we don't help them, they will commit crime again. So in some ways it's crime prevention, but I do understand that there's, before a crime ever has been committed, there's the youth that we don't ever want to even to get in the system at all. We don't ever want to see that happen. The one thing that I do know is that the city's very heavily invested in crime prevention. And if by working with them and doing both ends, I think that we can make a big impact in it as a community together, making sure that everything's being addressed in a comprehensive manner. Not that we can never do it, but knowing that the county and the city aren't doing the same thing. And the city's focus is very intentional to domestic violence, human trafficking, and youth prevention. They've just added the youth prevention. Now the county, our focus has always been, those who are already involved in the criminal justice system, and either getting them services so that they can be diverted from having to go further into the system, or when they come out so that they don't ever end up back in there. I always want to remind people that almost all of the people that are being served through the services from this funding or any funding have children. And I think I've said it before, but speaking as a former youth myself, I can say that I would probably want more than anything, more than any program or any center or anything, I would want my mom and dad to stop fighting, and I'd want my dad to stop drinking, and I'd want my dad to stop getting arrested, and I'd want my mom to stop doing this. More than anything, that's what I would want. So I think that at the end of the day, you should know that you're helping children vicariously through their parents. And you may be giving them the best gift that you could have.
Excellent.
Mr.
Thank
Grill,
you.
can I make some comments?
Yep, Mr. Neighbor has a follow-up, and we'll go right to you, Chief.
That comment that you made is easy to say because you probably never had to live that life. And I can attest to, growing up, I was homeless for 2 months out of my life because when I was 10 years old, my mom had to stay in a domestic violence shelter. And I was 11 at the time. And they told me that I was too old to stay with my family at the domestic violence shelter. But then they told me to go to the YMCA to where I could stay at the YMCA without my family. And then when I got to the YMCA, they let me stay one night and told me that I was too young to stay at the YMCA. And so there's a gap where youth are just on the street, and I'm one of those youth that was in that gap. And I had nowhere to go. So I had to break into a house and stay in that house until my family could find somewhere else to stay, because I was too young to stay. I mean, too old to stay with them and too young to stay in the YMCA. And so even I just wanted something to eat and a place to a roof over my head. At that time, I could care less about what my parents did. So we have to be mindful of and careful of how easy our childhood, our lives were, to compare that to the services that we provide. Because there's plenty of other services we can. And one of the tragedies in our community is the fall of the community center. Because when I was growing up, when I wanted to get something to eat, I knew exactly what time the Salvation Army was serving lunch, and then I knew exactly what time the Boys Club was serving dinner. We have no programs like that anymore. And because all the funding has gone to the adults, or funding is the funding in the community center is for service-based anything, not a getaway for the youth. So we have to be mindful about that and quit politicizing. Just, we have these programs, just try to sugarcoat what we can do, servicing adults to benefit the youth. That's a cop-out. So just be mindful of how you politicize and say these programs just to cover up, and to say just to cover up our numbers. That's all I have.
I'd like to piggyback on that when I can.
Yep. Well, we'll go right to you right after Chief Cjcc.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Grill. And Mr. Neighbors, I'm sorry you had to experience that. I would agree with you that there should be something in place where families are not separated, that youth are always a priority and taken care of. But what I wanted to say was for the sheriff's office, the sheriff is committed to building relationships and partnerships with the youth in this community. I don't think it's accurate to say that the sheriff's office only addresses people after they're in the system. There is a lot of proactive programs here at the sheriff's office that are targeted towards youth that we're doing to try to prevent and help youth before they get into trouble. Things like the Explorer program, things like the Strong House. The sheriff has donated from seized funds. He's donated money to local youth programs here in the Rockford area from the sheriff's office. So, one of our officers this last month was the Q85 Citizen of the Month because of all the work he does with kids in the community. I mean, it's a focus of our department too, and we use resources that we're given to help build relationships and to help prevent crime and help the youth before they get into trouble. It's a very high priority here at the sheriff's office. So I just want to put that out there and share that with everybody.
Thank you, Chief. Ms. Red. Sorry.
Thank you, Chairman. How much money are we talking about that we're giving to these, I think, 3 agencies that Ms. Duncan mentioned? How much money?
I couldn't tell you off the top of my head, but I know it's under 300,000.
under 300, we need to pull some of that money out and give it to some of the youth. Now, just like Mr. Neighbor said, we need to reach these youth before they get in trouble. And even though you're helping the parents that have been in trouble and they're coming back, some of that money, that 1% money, was supposed to be used to help the youth. And I have not, and I don't think you can mention 2 programs or 3 programs and leave the youth out. That's not fair. So these applications that are due in on the 8th of July, there are agencies out there, I do believe, that can use some of that money to help our youth. So they need to be given an application, an RFP or something. And even if those people that have applied last year, the year before, I know they're in a special category. I don't want to mention the name, but one of the agencies I called because I had a young man that needed help. And because he did not have insurance, that program did not take him or would not take him. They said they were full. So if they're full and we've given them money, they need to find space to accept these people that need help. And that's why we need to help these youth before they get in trouble. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Ms. Red. I agree with you 100%. Mr. Neighbors, I couldn't agree more with you there. We definitely need to do something. And these are conversations that we need to keep on having. We need to keep on pushing. And if you know of an agency out there that is lacking funding, I would still encourage them to apply. The funding may not be there this year, but it may be there next year. And it could be a situation where we could look at host fee funding for some of this also. So a lot of our community centers, those are funded through host fees. They're not really funded through the 1%. So these are some of the things that we can work with the host fees and the 1%. So just a thought. And Ms. Red, Mr. Neighbors, anyone that has a group out there that is looking for funding, such as like the Rock House or something like that, please encourage them to come and apply. It doesn't mean that if it's not the 1% that we can't find it somewhere else. So just because it's not going to be this year doesn't mean that it won't be next year. So that's all I have to say to that. Ms. Dockin, or any other questions from community members? Yep, go ahead, Ms. Dock.
Nope, that's all I have.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
One other question,
Yep,
please. How do they get this application that's due back on the 8th?
Great question.
I can send that to Bert right now. I'm not sure what the normal process is. This is something that we just started. I don't know if it would come from the administration or the crime commission. I'm not sure.
We can check with Mr. Thompson.
Yeah, I mean, we can send those out, Marlena. We just need to know where to send them.
Can I ask a question, please?
Please.
Are we talking about the 3% tax for the jail, that jail tax, or are you talking about the new 1% sales tax?
No, we're not talking about the mental health tax. This would be the public.
We need to clear that out. That this is from there was over 3 million that had been allowed, and the crime commission will tell you this, for those who were applying, and they had to fill out papers, I know, to get the funds. But we need to clarify so we don't mix the two up. The other thing I've always had a problem with is I don't hear anything about juvenile detention. And that's where many of these youth can, perhaps we could help them at that point, and that's where we can catch them before they go on further and ruin their life. So we need to look at detention home too, and we need to have more input on what goes on at the juvenile detention. Thank you.
Yep, well said, Ms. Squirrel. Thank you. So yeah, just to be clear, we are talking about the public safety sales tax here. We have nothing to do with the mental health tax. Mr. Neighbors can agree with that on that this is just the public safety sales tax is all we're speaking of. And Ms. Gorel is correct. Back in the day, I know when I got on in 2012, 2013, there was almost $3-4 million dedicated to alternative programs. And through work of the board, those programs were eliminated or reduced down to a small number that we have now, which is 300,000 to 400,000. And that number has been coming down over the years since the board has taken away those funds. So we really need to look at that. And maybe a conversation that we need to have that probably nobody wants to have is talking about more revenue, whether it's an increase to the public safety sales tax, which I have spoke on before many of times. I think maybe now is the right time to have that conversation so we can install these programs and actually help the youth while we're still doing what we're doing. But right now, what we're bringing in the sales tax revenue, as you know, isn't quite matching what we're spending. So I would love to have a whole bunch of money there to where we can just give out money left and right and do really good things. But right now we don't have that. So it's going to have to be a conversation that we're going to have in the future, one way or the other, because we know cost in policing and everything else that we do only increases. So we only have a certain pot of money. So that's a conversation for down the road. And I would love to have that and see if there is any support from the board or any members to actually move that through and put that out to the public. It shouldn't really be, our decision whether or not we dedicate taxpayer dollars or more taxpayer dollars to certain programs. That should be up to the taxpayers to decide through a referendum if it comes down to that. So just a thought. All right. Well, any other questions from any other board members or committee members for Mr. Wicker?
I just have I would like to receive, I'm sorry, thank you, Chairman. I would like to receive a copy of that application because I know of 2 agencies, 2 or 3 that need to submit that application, hopefully for funding from that, the public safety sales tax.
Absolutely. I'll work with Mr. Thompson, Ms. Doc, and make sure that we get you a copy of that over so you can get that to the individuals that you need to.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Red. Yep, I heard somebody. I'm sorry.
I have a quick comment. I just wanted to give thanks to Sheriff Caruana, Chief Cjcc, Chief O'Shea, who's recently retired, we all know. They have really started and gained momentum on a lot of the youth programs. Is it enough? No, but they've developed these things to help. Just a quick thank you to both of those departments. Do we need to do more? Absolutely. Yes, we do. Catch them before the crime. We need to reduce crime in the area. We need to look at the funds we have, possibly host. I don't think anybody, in my opinion, is ready for any more tax referendums at the time. Illinois is just getting taxed to death right now. So anyways, just a thought, look at the applications, get them in for more programs for the youth. Great step forward. I think if we can catch them before the crimes are committed, but kudos to Sheriff's Department and the City of Rockford for the programs they have started and developed. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lindmark. Agree 100% with you there. Yeah, that's definitely something. I think we need to look at the programs that we fund through the 1%. And, I think there is possibilities for the host fees. If you want to use the argument that they're only for economic development, well, I tell you, if you have a safe community, youth and beyond, that is going to bring economic development. People want to move somewhere where they feel safe. The gas station right up the street from me on Alpine, Harrison, there was a shooting the other day at 2:00 in the afternoon. These are crimes that happen everywhere. Not on the west side, not on the east side, but everywhere throughout the county. So we need to have a safe community. And I would argue more than anything that bringing kids home safe and bringing them to school safe is great economic sense. So a conversation hopefully here in the near future. So I appreciate it. Any other questions, comments? Mr. Booker, did you have anything?
No, Chairman. I thank you. Sometimes I don't know, I've just been pondering here and I didn't have time to really look it up about, do we still have host fees going to Patriots Gateway in Booker, Washington?
As far as I know, we do.
Yeah, okay. All right. And
I don't think so, not yet.
okay.
Not yet. Okay.
All right. Yeah, great. Yeah, great. Thanks for chiming in. And yeah, I guess we need to look for some grants too. So Ms. Dawkins has been doing a absolutely impeccable job with getting grants going. So I guess that's some type of juvenile preventative type of program that hopefully is something out there that we can try for. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Booker. Mr. Neighbors, did you have a question? You're on mute. Yep.
No, I was just gonna say no money's been given out from the host fees after the budget has allowed for the host fees to use the 3 million to offset another budget. So the only thing that's given out from the host fees is the program is the loans.
Our yearly commitments.
Some of them, but Booker isn't getting anything as of right now, and we're still waiting on to see what we can get with the American Recovery funds.
Okay.
So that's another avenue right now, but as of right now, nothing from the host fees. So we're still waiting on clarification on what we could do with those funds.
Excellent. Appreciate it. Yeah, there's definitely an opportunity there with those funds. A lot of it, not a lot of it, but a good portion of it is for crime prevention and for crime. So we'll have Mr. Thompson look at that and work with Mr. Rickert and see if we can find some money that we can put into this program to actually help folks and help the youth. So we'll set Mr. Thompson on that endeavor and see what we can find out from him. Thank you, Mr. Neighbors. Anybody else from the committee? All right, hearing none. Ms. Dockin, I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Everything that you do, and we'll look forward to hearing from your next update here.
All righty. Thanks so much. Have a good night.
Yep, you as well. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. All right, we're going to move on to other matters here, but is there any updates from Chief Cjcc with the Sheriff's Department that he would like to share with us? If he's still on.
I am on, Mr. Chairman, and I do not have any updates for today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Is it possible, Chief, that we can get an updated comparison on the Fed dollars that we bring in through the inmate program prior to meeting with the Department of I can't remember the guy's name that we met through the Marshal Service.
The guy who came to our committee meeting about a year ago.
Yeah.
Or maybe a little bit longer, right before COVID started.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay. Yeah, I would love to get a comparison of prior to when we actually invested in more correctional officers and what we were bringing in versus now after that investment, and just see what those dollars look like if we could.
Absolutely. Just off the top of my head, I can tell you we're probably going to be close to about $5 million this year. And that would be a significant increase because I believe prior to this, we were somewhere in about the $500,000 range. So it's a pretty significant increase.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. And can we also get an update? I don't want to throw too much at you, but just an update on the tablets and where we're at on that, if that's bringing in what we thought.
Absolutely.
Good. Okay. I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Chief.
Sure.
All right. So we'll move on to other matters. Any discussions, anything that anybody wants to bring forward?
Matters. Okay, you're talking about the tablets. Do we have tablets out juvenile?
That I don't know.
We don't.
I don't know the answer to that question either. We don't deal with the juvenile at the sheriff's office.
Well, somebody there's dealing with juvenile. I think it goes through the Justice Department, because I had someone from Youth Services one time question me as to why the youth out there didn't have tablets, so that they could actually take courses, they could be taught during the day, and put their lives to something useful than watching TV. So that's something else we need to look into and see what have we done for juvenile detention, because once they get out of there, their next place is in our jail or in the penitentiary. So we also need to focus on juvenile and see what we can do for them to get them educated and look for a better life than what they have.
I agree with you, Ms. Gorel. The tablets are a very powerful tool, and we use them. We use them for education. We use them for substance abuse. There's so many different so many different areas we use those tablets.
Exactly. And these kids are a whole lot smarter than we are. Why they're in juvenile is because they are too smart sometimes. They could be using their smarts to earn money for themselves instead of getting into trouble. But that's something we really need to look into, is what's going on at juvenile, how we handle them. Why don't they have tablets? What are their systems out there? Because that's that in-between group. When they get out of there, do they go to do they commit crime that they go to our jail, or do they even go to the penitentiary? So I don't even think you call it that anymore. But anyway, it's something that should be looked into, and I really would appreciate that.
It'd be
Absolutely.
nice.
Yep, Miss Red.
Thank you. It'd be nice if we could take a tour. It's been a long time since I've been there. To visit.
You know, the thought was just running through my head to actually have someone from juvenile come in and give a presentation and answer questions.
How about we go there?
You know, we could, but we have to have an open meeting that is open to the public.
No, I mean just a tour.
We can take a tour. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, just
we can take a tour.
Mhm.
Yeah. If there's an interest from the other committee members or anybody, we can definitely set that up. Absolutely.
Okay.
Sounds
I'd like to
good.
go.
I would love to go out there too. It's been quite a few years since I've been there. Not that I was there, but
Are you sure now?
yeah. Through schooling, you know, when I went through criminal justice, we had to drop off a few kids there. So, but yeah, it's definitely, we need to know what's going on there. If they need some help, what's going on? Do they have tablets? A lot of great things. So yeah, we'll set up a tour. Let's do that after the 4th. Sometime in July, August.
One of the things Marlena has looked into is assessing, that many of our young people need to be assessed before and coming out of juvenile. Our people who are in our jails need to have professional assessments before they go in and before they come out. It would really help us have more idea of what the future of these inmates would have. So I know she's been working on that, and she's also written a grant in regards to that. And that's one of the greatest things that we can start with.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if that's just directed towards adults, but hopefully that can be directed towards the youth also that come into juvenile detention, because you've hit on a great point that we need to catch them early. And it could just be something that they did and they screwed up. Most kids screw up a lot. So if we can just get to them right then and just, I wouldn't say put the word of God into them, but if we could, just kind of maybe take them on a tour of the jail and just, hey, this is your future, kind of like, you know, the ghost of Christmas past. So, you know, and yeah. So I'm sure there's some of that going on already, hopefully, but we need to get an update just so that we know and that we're informed on what happens out there.
Yeah, we don't know what's going on out there. We really, that's their most vital age is right there. Of whether they're going to go up or they're going to go, and so we truly need to pay more attention to what goes on at juvenile.
Yeah, absolutely. And Ms. Gore, I don't know if you remember, I don't remember. I think it's been quite a few years since somebody has actually been in to speak with the board about juvenile detention. Do you remember when that was?
I don't remember that at all.
I can arrange for that.
Okay, that would be great.
make sure that
Okay.
we do that.
And if you could, Mr. Thompson, can you set something up maybe beginning of August, middle of August, whatever works out best for them for a tour?
Sure.
Just not from this committee, but from any board member that would want to go out there.
Yes. I'll
I
do that.
appreciate it. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah.
All right, great. Any other
Yeah,
matter?
Mr. Chairman, this is Pat. I just wanted to, since this is the Public Safety Committee, I just wanted to commend all the public safety agencies that were involved throughout the county, throughout the region, really, over the past 3-4 days, dealing with that chemical fire in Rockton. And I would like to call out our chairman, Shirelli, for his leadership in the EOC. He's put in a lot of hours this week in the EOC. He actually got us going on the emergency notification system. So all of you with cell phones, I'm sure, have gotten a couple of notifications regarding the evacuation measures that were being taken, and that was under his leadership. So we really should be proud of our public safety agencies that have been working 24/7 over the past 3 days, responding to this emergency, and the leadership of Chairman Shirelli. Thank you.
Yeah,
Pat,
thank you, Mr. Thompson. Yep, go ahead, Ms. Squirrel.
Pat, you also need to include the Winnebago County Health Department. Dr. Martell has been constant and working with them constantly.
Yes, I did not mean to exclude her. She's been a big part of this too. And
Yeah.
her staff, all of her department.
Because right now they're on 2 battlefields.
If I could just make one quick comment.
Yeah,
Yes.
please, Mr. McCarthy.
You know, and we see these when you go to the airport every once in a while, how they have these drills. All the law enforcement agencies, the fire agencies, they get together to go through all of these drills. They ask for volunteers and they go through the procedures just in case something happens. And guess what? Something big did happen. And it showed that with all of what they did, all the prep work really seemed to have paid off. So again, all of the training that they go through, it all came together nicely under some wonderful leadership.
Yes, that's true. And anytime you go through an event like this, we learn from it. And, you know, certainly we learned some things going forward that we can improve on. And, you know, that's what these events, you know, they're learning exercises as we move through them. But
All the necessary departments got together. So we have some great people with us, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, I really think it shows how in tune public safety is in this county and the region. And we had fire departments from across Wisconsin, Southern Illinois, all come together for this. Over 40 different agencies, and we're still getting agencies to come in and fill in for other fire departments to fill those gaps. So, Mr. McCarthy, you hit it right on the head. You know, it's all about training, training, training. We hope that nothing ever happens, but if it does, we want to be prepared and ready. The MABUS system works great. You know, I think that really shows why we have that, why the fire departments rely on that. So, you know, everyone is very blessed that nobody was hurt. The one firefighter did go to the hospital, but he, from what I hear, is fine. But it could have been very, very worse. This could have been a catastrophe with many lives lost, but it wasn't. And we have to hope that ChemTool had in place certain procedures for any safety events, and those procedures probably saved lives. I'm sure we'll learn in the future exactly what happened and how it happened. But right now, you know, we are blessed that nobody lost their lives, that there was no injuries, because it could have been a lot worse. You know, I've been here my whole life, and I remember a few fires, but nothing like that. So that was definitely crazy. So we're all lucky, that's for sure. Now we just have to hope that a few hundred people can find employment now. So, or at least get some help through ChemTool. So, well, I'm sure the county and Chairman Shirelli will be working and seeing, if there's anything that we can do. So, but it is a great learning tool, and hopefully in the future, this will never happen again, hopefully. So, all right. Is there any other matters to come before this committee? All right, seeing or hearing none, I'll move for a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Mr. Lindmark, second by Mr. Neighbors and Ms. Coral. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and we will see you guys soon.
Everyone have a safe rest of the week.